Funny how a lot of people that watch my videos seem to know more about China than I do, even though they've never been to China. 大家好，我是 Surant 在中国. Hey everyone, it's Surant in China. How y'all doing today? I hope you're having a glorious day. It is a glorious day here in Longgang District in Shenzhen. And as such, it was pouring rain last night, thunderstorms, lightning. I didn't think I'd be able to get out today, but since it is a nice day, I'm going to take advantage and hop onto my little blue beauty right over here and go for a little bike ride. Now, I can't unfortunately go to my favorite bike riding location, that being the Dayun Stadium, simply because of this. As you can see, they are under construction. They are completely redoing the pavement around the entire stadium, which is a bit of a bummer for me since I'm losing for a week or two my favorite bike riding location. But when it's finished, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be beautiful, especially when riding Little Blue Beauty with its hard rubber tires. So I'm looking forward to it being finished. But in the meantime, I want to find a location where I can ride in safety without too much traffic, with nice wide sidewalks, nice smooth sidewalks, preferably, where I can still get in my 10 to 20 kilometers and see how it goes. Now, as it is super sunny, I am putting on sun protection today, and I'm putting on Chinese sun protection. Now, I do have the sunblock cream that I rub into my hands and arms, but it gets goopy, messy, especially when it's hot and sweating, and it's not very popular in China. So what people, especially motorcyclists and bicyclists, do is they wear these things, which is a very ultra light, uh, essentially entire top body covering, which goes right up to the hands. It even stays on your hands so the wind won't blow the sleeves down, and comes with even a great big hood to protect the back of your neck. This hood even goes further in that there's a zipper attachment that will come right out to here, which is a little bit too extreme for me. And if you zip it up all the way, it even protects your lower face from sunlight as well. Now, I don't know if I'm going to go that extreme today. It is very, very sunny. And in the past several days of bike riding, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see, I have been getting a little bit of color, aka burns. So I'm going to take it a little easy today with the sun. This is my first time trying out the Chinese sunblock. My wife bought this for me. It is filled with little micro holes, so when the breeze goes by, I feel it. It's wonderful. This could be the key, though, to protecting myself from the sun without having to coat myself in sunblock and chemicals. Let's hope for the best. Anyway, I'm going to get the GoPro onto the Little Blue Beauty here because, yeah, I really got to get out of the habit of riding with one hand on my phone and one hand on the bike. It's not good. It's actually hard to hold after an extended period of time. And for safety's sake, it's just better on the bike itself. So I'm going to throw the GoPro on, and then I'm going to take you for a ride in an area which I think is going to be perfect for my needs today. And you can let me know what you think, at least until the stadium gets finished, and I can't wait. Well, things don't always go to plan. Now, I had an issue with the GoPro the other day where the battery that was inside became swollen, which sometimes happens. And I had an extra battery, but I had a hell of a time getting the swollen battery out. And I thought at the time it might have damaged the card slot for the memory. But the memory all seemed to be working, so I put in the new battery, put back in the card, and away we went. However, I noticed about halfway around the loop that I just did, the last 4 kilometers, that the GoPro was showing an SD card error. So I think my GoPro has technically died, DOA, non-functional. So I still want to show you this little loop that I'm on because it is quite nice. It turns out to be just about 4 kilometers, so if I do it the way that I'm doing it right here, it would take me 5 laps to get in my 20 kilometers. But let me flip the camera and I'll show you, at great risk to myself, mind you, though not really, what this loop looks like with me holding the camera in my hand. And Just one hand on the Blue Beauty. All right, here we go. Now this part of the trek is uphill, sadly, but it's not a tremendous grade. However, on the way back home, when I'm coming from the stadium or my regular bike riding areas, it's a dream because you can pretty much coast the whole way. It really is nice. Oh, ooh, and the wind's blowing at me. That makes it a little bit more challenging, but that's okay too. Over here, we've got a great big school. Classes are in session right now, obviously. That's why you don't see any students or people milling about. A lot more Blue Beauties here. Very likely ridden there by teachers and staff from the school that don't live on the campus. I guess I'll have to look into buying myself a new GoPro, but I won't go with the GoPro brand again. I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest. I think I'll go with a much more cost effective local Chinese brand. I think that's the way to go. I've always been of the school of thought when it comes to cheaper products in China, especially back in the day when it came to things like shoes and electronics. A lot of people would go across the border to Hong Kong to ensure that they were getting the top quality possible brand name goods. However, they were also paying extremely high prices. Whereas I always kind of thought if you get the 100 renminbi pair of shoes that only last for a year before you need to replace them, as opposed to the 1,000 renminbi shoes, which will last you maybe 2 or 3 years, it's still more cost effective in the long run just to keep replacing the 100 renminbi shoes more frequently. This again is the youth entrepreneurship center that I come hang out at a lot. That's where that coffee shop is. It has that lovely grapefruit coffee. Slow poke. Well, we'll get around him. We're not here for a leisurely afternoon drive. We're here for some exercise, baby. All right, so right across the street, the stadium is over there, under construction. Dayun Park is over there. Also a very nice place to bike ride, but a lot of hills. And on those hills, not having gears is a huge detriment. So keep going this way. Normally I would have my headphones on while I was riding for exercise, but as I'm recording and as I am dealing with city streets now, probably best to be as aware as possible. Right. Restaurants, tea shops. This is my second time round. Oh, it's been all uphill since I started recording. Fear not. The downhill stretch is coming. Ooh, can I make the light while it's still green? It's flashing, but here I'm through. Hey, 5 kilometers. Look at that. All right, this is the Tesla dealership. Do have to be a little careful around the Tesla dealership. I generally find that Tesla owners seem to follow their own rules of the road, being that they don't really pay much attention to anybody else on the road. I find this kind of thing a little bit annoying, but usually they're not too bad, where vehicles, instead of looking for proper parking spots, will just park on the corners and sometimes block the pedestrian and bicycle entrances to the sidewalks. And I will give them shit when I see it. But that one wasn't bad. He left enough space for pedestrians and bikes, so no problem. This is almost finished. They're finishing up the outside areas and the internal renovations. Business is already starting to move in here. There's a great big shopping mall, very fancy looking actually, being built behind this as well. On the other side of that big treed hill ahead is another campus of the Hong Kong University of China. Tried to get in there on the bike the other day. Security guard wasn't having it. Technically, even the university campuses are secure here, so if you don't have an ID or an access card, you're not getting in. Though the public buses do go in there, so I wonder sometimes if I just didn't hop onto a public bus. Now this guy is blocking the entire bicycle path. This guy right here who's searching for recycling to go sell. But luckily I was able to get around on the bumpy side. But now we're in the nice area of the ride because this is all downhill, very low traffic. And after this last little bumpy section here, there's one more traffic intersection to deal with. That's it. And then the rest of the route is in the shade and downhill, minimal pedaling required. Not a great place to park, but again, going through the bumpy areas on those solid rubber tires. The anti-shake, the stabilization on the iPhone is very, very good. You don't really see my torment, but yeah, it's bumpy. Now, don't hit me, Mr. Great Wall. Thank you. All right. So now it's time to coast in the shade. If you watched my video about the schools, that is one of the schools over there. For those of you that said, haha, that's a private school, it's for rich kids. It's actually not, it's public school. But it's funny how a lot of people that watch my videos seem to know more about China than I do, even though they've never been to China. They never really studied anything about China. They've just seen a couple of YouTube videos and know everything. But, those kind of people are fun. When they get racist or bigoted or start really saying inflammatory things, I just hide them from the channel so they can keep saying all their inflammatory and bigoted comments all they like. But neither myself nor anybody else sees them. So they can still feel good about themselves. Oh, glorious. Glorious. This is what I was waiting for. Yeah, for a company in the midst of an economic downturn, a crash, sure are a lot of active construction sites around. I tell you, makes perfect sense. There'd be so much construction going on when construction is declining as terribly as they say, right? Yeah. You probably didn't hear it, but that lady was blowing her horn at me on her little scooter there. For some reason, and I don't know why, apparently you can adjust volume on those things, and some people choose to almost essentially turn them off. So they're going beep, beep, as you're going by. Not much of a message to traffic, but okay, here it gets a little hairy. There's two intersections here that are quite steep and bumpy. All right, ooh, almost lost the bag there. Look at that. I shall repair that at the next stop. But I do have the bag tied in place, so even if it did go flopping out, it would only go so far. Watch out for those big concrete trucks. Okay, gonna slow down here. The faster I hit this, the worse the bump will be. There we go. That is the worst of it. Gas station over here. All full service. No self-service here in China. Yeah, I do have a red light, so I'm going to stop here in the shade, fix my bag. There we go. And wait for the, you can see here the lady ahead of me. She's wearing the same thing I am, but she's got it all done up, covering her entire torso, which is awesome. Just down the street over here is one of my favorite little night markets. This street here is another part of the potential route that I may start taking once I put the phone down and doing more of a zigzag. So I'll be getting in probably 7, maybe 8 kilometers per loop as opposed to almost 5. So we'll see. Just waiting for the light to turn green. This is very common in China to sit back in the shade. I'm sitting here in the shade of this tree as opposed to sitting out there in the middle of the intersection next to the cars cooking in the sun. Makes sense, right? Check to make sure nobody's come up behind me, as the light should change any second. So I'm going to start heading out. Yeah, we're good. And there we go. Bumpity, bumpity. All right, we're almost at the beginning of the loop. So yeah, it would have been better if the GoPro would have lived to record that loop, and that would have been able to hold the handlebars with 2 hands. What a novel idea. Well, I gotta say, I'm pretty damn impressed with myself for being able to ride one-handed as well as I have been without any mishaps. Knock on wood. But here we go. We are officially back at the corner. Again, a very active construction site going on right there. I know it's very active because it's right outside my office window. Yay. And here we go. Right back where we started from.